And the first thing that I actually want to discuss here is that if we take a look at this, right, we can see that all the ETFs filed here, here are all the tickers. And then I think the most important key takeaway from this chart here isn't necessarily the fee. Well, we can argue that there's an elephant in the room here with us, which is the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. And the reason why this is, kind of a problem because of their fee. They thought that they were entitled for, a higher fee because they were the most liquid, yada, yada, yada. But this will result in a lot of sell pressure because people that are willing to remain even in an ETF or whatever, all of these fees, right, are much better compared to the Grayscale fee. So they will, even if they want to sell, they want to get out and get at a better fee structure, right? Now, the other thing that's really important here is the custodian. Almost for everything, it is going to be Coinbase. So from this point on, I believe Binance data isn't necessarily really important anymore because most of this flow is going through Coinbase. So you want to be watching Coinbase. Now, if I were to show you why it is so important, if we take a look at this chart, and especially after the ETF, right? ETF, blah, blah, and then we have nothing. We basically have that volume until the US Open. Look at this. US Open, huge amount of selling interest here, right? And down we go. And this is basically all GBTC selling it at the spot market, which is, resulting in a huge amount of selling interest here on this leg lower. Now, if we take a look at this chart here, it is basically the cash redemption model. Now, keep in mind that this is all T+1. So it is all the data, all the flow data that you're seeing on Twitter is basically delayed by a single day. But, I think the key takeaway here is that they sell Bitcoin for USD on Coinbase, which is what we're seeing within this chart. So going forward, you want to be really paying attention to the US Open tomorrow and see if we get, a similar point of interest here within that volume chart. Now, moving towards this side here from them. And this basically outlines why I think it is such a problem, because the total Bitcoin that is within the trust is around roughly 600,000. Now, I'm really shitty at math, but that's around 30 billion, right? 28, 30 billion in US dollar. Now, again, this data, apologies, Tuesday, I know Tuesday, but, this data here can be delayed as well. But all in all, I think it is going to be very important because this is a fuck ton of sell pressure onto the market, right? And that's what we're seeing right here. US Open, and then we saw a huge nuke lower. So, ideally, right, tomorrow when US close still, we get a range bound environment. And I think on Tuesday, we're probably going to see a similar dynamic. So, there's going to be two parts of this. The first part is going to be traders that are anticipating a break lower on Tuesday. Those traders are likely to hedge, right? In any case, should we sweep high before Tuesday, I think is a good selling opportunity to go with the flow on Tuesday, all right? Now, Bitcoin monthly returns, we said it before, January isn't necessarily one of the best months. We've got September, which is other shit. And then we have, which was it, June, right? Summer months aren't necessarily the best. But all in all, I think January will probably remain within a range here, which will be beneficial for altcoins. But I'm not really expecting a huge drawdown in January. I think that will be happening, within February or maybe even March. It is coming, but I don't really think that we're going to be doing it within the first part of this quarter. Now, if we take a look at seasonality and we go towards the S&P, we can see that we have monthly averages for S&P for over the past 20 years. January again, range bound environment, right? Then we have February, which is an up market oftentimes. March, downtrend, right? Which is what we said in the previous stream as well. I think if there's really going to be a break lower on Bitcoin, it is happening from middle of February towards the middle of March. That's basically what I'm anticipating on Bitcoin. Now, this is going to be interesting because from March up until May, so this is basically the second quarter, right? The first quarter, we don't really do anything based on seasonality. The second quarter, however, is oftentimes an up quarter, right? It's a positive quarter. Now, this also lines up with the Bitcoin halving, which is roughly around April 19. I'll have a chart by that in a bit as well. But if we take a look at this tweet here from Jeff, whether it was a Democrat or a Republican, a victory or defeat, the streak stands at 12 straight winning years for the S&P 500 when the incumbent president was running for re-election. So, to put everything blunt, I think short term, we're getting sell pressure, right? We're probably going to go a lot lower. And that has mainly to do with the amount of sell pressure we're getting through GBTC. Everything else, if we take a look at seasonality, right, and we take a look at the election year, I think it is all primed for a big move higher combined with the halving that we're getting on Bitcoin as well. This brings me to a higher time frame chart where I've highlighted the previous halvings on Bitcoin, right? Right here, we've got the first one. And the second line is basically 1 year afterwards to just give a good indication of, you know, what the 12-month return was on that investment. So let's say that you bought here. 1 year after that, we're up tremendously, right? Next halving, you buy here. Even though that we go lower, we're ending up going, you know, 4 times that you had on your investment. Then we had the most recent halving, which was right here on 11th of May 2020. And then we go up 500 to 600% on the year, right? So no matter what you're really doing, I personally believe that if we're getting a break lower, now let's take a brief look at the break lowers that we had previously leading up into the halving, right? So this high to low, we had 50% drawdown, right? Then we had another one. This high to low, we had a 40% drawdown. And then we had the biggest one. This high to this low was roughly 62. So I don't really care what's happening short term. Sure, we're trading it short term. However, I believe any break lower, and I mean, even if we're getting like a retest of the 200 exponential moving average here on the weekly time frame, even if we get a 40% drawdown here, I really think this is an amazing buying opportunity leading up into the halving, you know, and quarter two of you know, seasonality from the S&P. We've got an election year coming up. So all in all, I think, should we get a retest like that, right? Retest within this region where, you know, this is going to be a buying opportunity for me. I'm going to be buying everything within this area, right? And to fine tune that area from a higher time frame perspective. Remember in the stream from 2 weeks ago where I said, you know, we're tagging the 80 level on RSI. The previous times that we did it, we saw a large reversal. I said, you know, do not expect it right away. However, keep in mind that we're due for a bigger correction. We haven't had one in a while, right? If we take a look at the previous run-ups, we always had, like, for example, this rally here, 40%, 37, 30, right? And then right here, 37%. So I think we're definitely due for a break lower. And when we do, I'll be buying it down here. Ideally, we remain above the 50 level on the RSI, which was previously a great interaction combined with the exponential moving averages here, all right? Is that clear for everybody? So far regarding our higher time frame approach, we are expecting a break lower, but if we do, we're going to be a buyer. I don't necessarily think that it's going to be, you know, really outrageous. I would love to buy this down here, especially if we, let's say the market really shits the bed, right? And we get a huge break lower like that. If the RSI on the weekly time frame is hitting 35 and we're trading roughly within this region, I'm buying it longer term. If we take a look at the previous interactions right here, and apologies, my throat is a bit of fucked. I don't know what I did, but right, nuke into the 200 weekly exponential moving average, 35 buy, right, 35 buy. Not rocket science here. So, you know, I'm not going to be paying too much attention to it, but if we're getting that retest, I really want to be a buyer there. I'm going to drink something real quick. One sec. That's better. All right. So moving forward, one interesting part here about the halving, right? Gabriel said, I set realistic expectations for Bitcoin ETF flows. In case you listen, few 100 million flows, mostly recycled money. My expectations were met and exceeded on the first 2 days of Bitcoin ETF trading, yada, yada, yada. Now, this is what's interesting. If you compare the ETF inflows with the supply added by mining, it is huge. 400 million a day, ETF inflows equal 18K Bitcoin. Miners produce only 900 Bitcoin a day. And after the halving event, it is 450 Bitcoin a day. So this adds to the equation that we have seasonality coming up from March to May, right? And I would, again, please give me a drawdown in the first quarter because I'll be a buyer there, right? Conversely, the second quarter, we have seasonality coming up. We've got election year. We've got Bitcoin halving coming into, it's roughly at 15 or 19 April now. So everything for me personally is lining up for too long a pullback. Now, I'm not sure how deep we're going to get, but if we do, I'll be a buyer, right? Now, this brings me to short term. And let's get rid of this volume indicator real quick. In the previous stream, I said I want to be a seller above this high. I didn't get it. Shit happens, right? I mean, we broke lower, we formed this high, and I said, you know, let's see if we can form a short-term range here and then ultimately sweep this high once more to get into a short position targeting these lows. We didn't get it, and we just nuked straight towards Monday's low, which was our target into the previous quarterly VWAP, which we outlined as well. Right now, we're forming a new range. Remember, the initial sell-off right here, and then the high and the low, right? So this is the range that we're working with right now. If we take a brief look at a VWAP here, and I want you to focus on this quarterly chart right now. This quarterly chart has been capping the upside and the downside for over, you know, a month or two. We're now trading back within this quarterly range. In my opinion, if Bitcoin is unable to trade back above 44K, this is the level that you want to be selling for a move back towards the quarter 1 21 VWAP confluent with this low, right? You can even draw on a range right there. Now, if we start to reclaim this, we might hit higher. But from a technical standpoint, I believe maybe we're getting a short squeeze higher into 44K, and then we see it getting capped. I want to be a seller there, and I want to be targeting 40.8K first, followed by 37.75. That was basically the TP that you saw me posting on Twitter, where I'm short from this high and I have some TPs around these lows. I'm mainly looking to add more to the position at that 21 quarterly value area high, which is at 44K now. If I were to fine tune that level, I'm going to go towards the weekly. Now on this left chart right here, we have weekly value, right? Right here, we have a developing weekly value area low. And we have a couple of hours left before we close the week. Well, not a couple of hours, but we have a lot of hours left before we close the week. When it does, we have new weekly value area low right there at 44,050. This level also lines up with that quarterly pivot that we just outlined, right? This is the range that I'm interested in. So the trade that I want to be taking going into next week is going to be as follows. We have a monthly value area low there from a previous month. So I want to be taking this trade right there. I know this is support, previous quarterly value area high, but for the next week, the trades that I'm interested in are, I want to see a sweep of this high of this range into that upcoming previous week value area low, confluent with the quarterly level. Let me just outline this pivot real quick. Coordinates 44 goes 44K, right? Right there. This is that quarterly pivot, right? My bad. So if we can deviate above this high, reclaim the range, reject there, I'll be looking for shorts there. I'm going to be targeting the pending liquidity below this low. This is going to be my first TP because we're trading at support, right? If we take out the high and then we take out the low and then we reclaim it, I'm cutting my short and I'm looking for long skin, right? Simple as that. Because of how I'm not forward looking on how this is all going to develop, you know, with GBTC selling off on Coinbase, yada, yada, yada. So I'm going to be keeping things short term. If we leave this high intact and we sweep the lows first, I'll definitely look for a potential long here because this previous month value area low and the 21 quarterly VWAP is still higher time frame support. All right. So these are the short-term trades that I'm looking at. Is that clear for everybody? What's up, Reachers? Hope you well, man. Let's get into the chart. Let's scrunch this up real quick. Yeah, I mean, I went short from this high as well, and it closed like a partial here, thinking we're getting a sweep back into Monday's high, and we didn't get it. Now we started to break lower, so it happened to me as well, but it's okay. We're going to be taking the next trade. Right? And if we were to put things really simple, if I were to draw on a range, right? Range high, range low, a bunch of equal lows here, big ass deviation above range high, and now we're trading back within the range. So if you were trading this on a 5-minute chart, I think everybody will be targeting these lows, right? Because this is a deviation. This is basically the market telling us that, hey guys, we try to accept above value, which is this range here. However, we failed to hold us a support, and now we're back within the range. So I believe, you know, from a trading perspective, going into next week, I'm going to be looking to be a seller here or at that previous week, a previous year value area high. This is the previous year value area high. I'm talking shit. It's the 2021 VWAP. Coordinates. 2021 VWAP. It's been a long day. Oh my gosh. All right. So let's summarize everything once more. We have sell pressure due to the in-cash redemption model. Everything is going towards Coinbase, right? That is why it is so important to take note of Coinbase going into Tuesday, right? If we have US Open on Tuesday, and I think we're personally going to be seeing a large amount of sell pressure once more within the market. If the reason why this is so important is because GBTC holds a total of 617,000 Bitcoins, which totals a roughly 30 billion, 28 billion. I don't know. I'm really shit at math, but it's a fuck ton of Bitcoins, right? So unless everyone is holding onto their positions, which I highly doubt due to that big ass fee that I think is reasonable, right? We're still getting that selling pressure into the market. Seasonality is, you know, hinting at a ranging quarter one and a potentially trending, positively trending quarter two. So that's basically what I'm betting on. That lines up with the halving as well, which is roughly 15 April or 19 April. You know, and from a higher time frame perspective, we want to be looking for buys within the 28, 27K region if we get it, right? Because that would line up with a nice 44% retracement from this high. I think that would be a really nice trade to take. Now, if we were to line that up with RSI and the 200 exponential moving average, we would prefer to see the 50, the mid, right? Or the mean hold a support. The ultimate trade would be if we get a really big ass cascade lower. Now, I'm not going to be saying that we're getting one, right? But just so that everybody is prepared. If Bitcoin is trading near a 200-week moving exponential moving average and the RSI hits the 35 level, you just start scaling into your spot position, right? It's been working for me tremendously in the past, and I think, you know, you offload it again once we hit the upper band. Simple as that. Really boomer trade, but it is what it is, right? Then ultimately, we still have, you know, the miner, which are after the halving, they have 450 Bitcoin a day. So all in all, I think things are short term. We might see downward pressure on Bitcoin But ultimately, guys, I think we're setting up for a great year on Bitcoin, where we're going to be seeing much higher prices going forward. Short-term trades, right? To say it once more, going into next week, I either want to be a seller above this range high, or I want to be a buyer below this range low, depending on which one hits first. If for some reason we do not see any seller activity at range high and we start to trade towards the 2021 VWAP right away, I'm still not getting bullish. I will look to be a seller here, right, on the typical distribution there, targeting lower prices, because from a higher time frame perspective, from a ranging perspective, I believe that this is a deviation and we're likely going to see lower prices into 36K. All right. And that was basically today's stream. If you have any questions, let me know in the chat. Otherwise, I will see you tomorrow or in the next week.